wars and insurrections, don't panic. Yes, these things must take place first, but the end won't follow immediately. Then Jesus added, nation will go to war against nation and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, and there will be famines and plagues in many lands. And there will be terrifying things and great miraculous signs from heaven. Now Jesus mentions the word signs here. And it's my conviction that there's something in the human heart that hungers for signs. Oh, we're like addicted to signs. How else do you explain the number of people that go to palm readers and tarot card readers and so forth? They're looking for a sign, anything. Others maybe don't want to spend the money, but they'll consult their daily horoscope, looking for an astrological sign that will give them directions about a business decision or a relationship. Many consume documentaries by the History Channel or the Discovery Channel, and millions upon millions are buying books with predictions made by New Age authors. Nostradamus, he mentions in his clip, the Hopi Indians, and the list goes on and on and on. If you do a Google search 2012 on Amazon, you'll come up with 300 book titles and another 85 where 2012 is a subtitle. So you've got almost 400 different books that are being sold that deal with this topic that we're looking at today. The claimed signs have to do with planetary alignment. You saw that in the clip. Galactic alignment. Doomsday objects like asteroids or meteor showers hitting Earth. Magnetic pole shift. Rotational pole shift. Crust displacement theory. Solar flares. Supernova. Precession. Earthquakes. Numerology, where people add up different numbers and come up with different dates for the end of the world. The list goes on and on and on. Which begs the question, what is a sign? Or more specifically, what according to the Bible is a sign? What's the purpose? The purpose of a sign is to point you in a direction. To point you in a direction. And the Bible signs would have you believe that you are not to look for your security in creation or in anything within creation, but to look for your security in the one who presides over creation, namely God, your Creator. And if you put your security or your hope in anything or anyone else, then you'll forever be a puppet played by the different doomsdayers of each successive generation. You'll forever live with fear about what your future holds. It's as simple as that. Hope in anything within creation will keep you living in fear. Now there are proper places to look for answers to our questions. Our questions that are pressing and important. There are proper places and there are improper places to look. And God's Word in the Bible is one proper place to look. Titus 1 verse 9 tells us that God's Word is trustworthy. And it's proven trustworthy for millions of people through many generations. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time this morning debunking these various 2012 rumors because I think it would be a waste of your time actually. But I will give you just a few nuggets to consider. Mainstream Mayanist scholars state that the idea that the long count calendars, that's the one that people are referring to in the Mayan tradition, that the long count calendar ends in December 2012, misrepresent Mayan history. It's like an extreme offshoot of the main Mayan beliefs. It's kind of like, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I watch the news and certain Christians are doing or saying things and I'm like, I'm a Christian and I don't say that, or I don't believe that. The long count calendar misrepresents the main thrust of Mayan beliefs and teachings. And you need to know that. What's more, the Mayans had predictions continuing at least another 2,700 years. So obviously, the majority of them thought that life was going to continue after December 21. And I don't know about you guys, but let's use some common sense here. How much stock are you going to put in predictions that are made by a people group that's extinct? Right? Like, I don't know. I for one, am not going to put a lot of stock in that. The History Channel series, which was hugely popular, called Decoding the Past, and its segment on the Mayan calendar was based loosely on theories developed by John Major Jenkins. John Major Jenkins. However, Jenkins himself, all right, so this is the origin of their teachings that they're using, was repulsed by the series because it was co-authored by a science fiction writer. I don't know about you, but I don't think the History Channel should be able to use science fiction writers to co-author the documentaries that they're presenting people that are watching. Jenkins went on to say, and I quote, he went on to characterize the History Channel documentary by saying, I quote, "It's 45 minutes of unabashed doomsday hype and the worst kind of inane sensationalism." So he's saying it's a complete waste of time. It's meaningless. NASA. I don't know if you put any stock in NASA. I put more stock in NASA than History Channels that use fiction writers. NASA has compared fears about 2012 to those about the Y2K bug in the late 90s, suggesting that anyone who invests a little bit of time in proper analysis will come to the conclusion that really there's nothing to fear specifically related to the dates and the arguments that those people are giving. But still, I know and believe that some of you are more tempted by this than others. Some of you, I think there's something in certain individuals that just, they hear things, they see it on TV, and it's gospel truth to them. So if that's you, then I want to direct you to a website. I spent a number of hours on this week. It's called www.2012hoax.org. www.2012hoax.org, which was developed by a consortium of scientists, a group of scientists from many different nations, after one of them saw an article about a 16-year-old girl in India who was taken in by one of these doomsday predictions. And she concluded, as an immature, developing adult, that life wasn't worth living, and she drank arsenic. And so these scientists said, enough. This has got to stop. And so they debunk myth by myth each of these doomsday predictions one by one. You can go on there, and every one that I referenced earlier, magnetic pole displacement and all that rotation stuff, they address each one of them as scientists. Well, let's go back to God's Word, picking up at verse 12. Jesus continues, "But before all this occurs, there will be a time of great persecution. You will be dragged into synagogues and prisons and will stand trial before kings and governors because you are my followers. But this will be your opportunity to tell them about me." And those persecutions that Jesus talks about in the verses I just read soon began. Luke, the disciple who writes this gospel, also wrote another book that's included in the Bible called Acts. And if you read Acts, you can read about many of the persecutions that Paul and Peter and Silas and others endured because of their faith. And what you consistently see is that these people use those persecutions as opportunities to witness to people in power, to governors and to leaders and to soldiers and so forth. And what's so ironic is that during this period of intense persecution of Christians in the 1st and 2nd centuries, Christianity spread like wildfire. Now, thankfully, those of us who identify ourselves as Christians living in Canada today don't have to face these kinds of persecutions that the early Christians had to face. We know nothing of that. But I have to wonder if the few committed Christians living in Canada today faced persecution like that. I wonder if the faith would spread the way it did then. I'm not so sure. Verse 14. "So don't worry in advance about how to answer the charges brought up against you, for I will give you the right words and such wisdom that none of your opponents will be able to reply or refute you. Even those closest to you, your parents, brothers, relatives, and friends, will betray you. They will even kill some of you. And everyone will hate you because you are my followers. But not a hair of your heads will perish. By standing firm, you will win your souls."